Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. Today, we're going to absolutely demystify a critical but honestly frequently misunderstood rule in the English language, subject-verb agreement. I want you to think of a sentence kind of like a sports team. You know, if the players don't communicate, the whole play just completely falls apart, right? Well, English grammar works the exact same way. Mastering this is going to instantly make your communication sound way more natural and confident. So let's just dive right in.
Quick look at our roadmap for today. First, the foundation. Then we'll hit the curveballs. After that, tricky traps. Then a little quiz time to test yourselves. And finally, real-world fluency.
All right, Section 1, the foundation.
The core concept here is actually super simple. The subject and the verb, they have to match perfectly. If they don't match, the team loses. To get this right, let's start with our star teammate, the subject. This basically tells us exactly who or what the sentence is all about. Take the sentence, Allie plays football. Allie is our subject. In the cat is sleeping, it's the cat. And in my friends study English, my friends are the ones driving the sentence forward.
Now our second teammate is the verb. This represents the action or the state of being. We're talking words like eat, run, sleep, know. Back to our example, Ollie plays football. Plays is the action. That's the verb. Without it, our team is literally going nowhere. It's completely incomplete.
So this brings us to the absolute golden rule of today's explainer. A singular subject takes a singular verb, and a plural subject takes a plural verb. Basically, one person means one specific verb form, while a group, that requires a different plural form.
Let's actually see this in practice. On the singular side, we have Allie plays and the baby cries. But look what happens on the plural side. It becomes Ali and Ahmed play and the babies cry. Do you notice the pattern there? For singular subjects, the verbs add an S or an ES, like plays or cries. But for plural subjects, we just drop that S. I know, it's a bit of a mind bender, right? Because we usually add an S to nouns to make them plural. But with verbs, that S actually signals a singular subject.
Moving on to Section 2, the curveballs.
So the biggest curveball in English has got to be the verb be. It changes entirely depending on who the subject is. For singular subjects, it's I am or he, she, it is, like she is happy. But for plural subjects, it shifts to are. We are, they are, and actually, this is a big one, you are, as in they are happy. Honestly, this is one team roster you just have to memorize. Now, another really common stumbling block involves the first and second person pronouns. While third person singular subjects, he, she, and it, always add that S or ES to the verb, I and you never take the S. So saying I plays or you plays is a no-go. It is always, always I play and you play.
Up next, Section 3, tricky traps.
Okay, let's look at how we connect subjects. When two subjects are joined by the word and, they form a plural team. Ali and Sarah are friends. Simple enough, right? But here is the trap. When we use either or neither nor, the whole rule changes. The verb has to agree with whichever subject is physically closest to it in the sentence. For example, either the students or the teacher is coming. Because teacher is singular and it's sitting right next to the verb is singular. But if we flipped it and said either the teacher or the students are coming, well, now the verb becomes plural because students is plural. Always look at the subject nearest the verb.
Next up, we have these specific groups of words. Things like everybody, everyone, someone, and nobody. Plus collective nouns like team, family, class, and group.
Here is the secret to these. Even though these words describe a ton of people, they act as a single, singular unit. So you'd say, everybody is happy, not are. The team is winning, not are. You gotta treat the entire group as one single block. Oh, and a super quick reminder for the word there, use there is for one item and there are for plural items. Now, one of the trickiest rules involves words that kind of just sneak in between the subject and the verb. Look at this sentence. The box of books is heavy. Seeing the word books right next to the verb makes it super tempting to say are heavy. But wait, the true subject is box. Books is just extra information trapped in the middle. You gotta learn to ignore those middlemen. The box is heavy.
All right, let's do section 4, quiz time. Let's test your reflexes on these rules. First, just a really quick reminder of a very common mistake. She play football is completely incorrect. She plays football is correct because she is a third-person singular subject which absolutely demands that S. Keep that in your head for this challenge.
Okay, here is your first challenge. Fill in the blank. She blank English every day. Are we choosing play or plays? Lock in your choice. And the answer is plays. Because we have the singular subject she, we absolutely need that S on the verb. She plays English every day. Got it?
All right, let's try a tricky trap. Everybody blank ready. Is it is or are? Think back to how we treat those big umbrella words that represent a lot of people. Do they act singular or plural?
The correct answer is. Remember, even though everybody means a whole crowd of people, it acts as a single singular unit. So it's everybody is ready.
And finally, section 5, real-world fluency.
Look, it's one thing to know the rules, but let's look at how perfectly matching subjects and verbs creates a seamless everyday narrative. Check this out. Ali is a student. He studies English. Singular subject, singular verbs. His sister likes reading books. Sister is singular, so we have likes. Now, their parents work in a school. Parents is plural, so we drop the S and use work. And finally, our tricky trap. Everyone enjoys learning. Everyone acts as a singular unit, so enjoys gets the S. Smooth, right?
To make sure you can replicate this smoothness every single time you speak or write, I want to leave you with these 3 highly actionable steps. Step 1. Always find your subject first. Literally ask yourself who or what is doing the action. Step 2. Ignore the extra words. Filter out all that noise and those prepositional phrases that just sit between the subject and the verb. And step 3. Check if that core subject is singular or plural, and then just match your verb accordingly. It's a simple 3-step checklist for perfect grammar.
Which leads me to leave you with this final thought. If you actually take the time to master this golden rule today, if you practice making your subjects and verbs act like a winning team, how much more natural, accurate, and powerful will your English sound tomorrow? Subject-Verb Agreement isn't just some boring textbook rule. It is the absolute backbone of clear communication. Practice it every single day, and I promise you'll watch your fluency soar. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.